Welcome to another edition of Bowie TV's Youth, Community, and Lifestyle. During this hour, we're bringing you highlights from some of our shows focused on youth, community, and lifestyle. Please be sure to give us a follow on all of our social platforms. First up, tune into the highlights from Washington Commanders Foundation Chair Marjorie Harris and linebacker Bowie Wagner as they spread holiday cheer to the Children's National Hospital. Also, check out Washington Commanders players as they spread holiday cheer across the DMV. Next up on Read Science, watch the last part of the science behind how the buildings we inhabit influence our behavior with Emily Antis. On the Spotlight DMV, check out the part 2 of the conversation with Sing Steph as he shares his personal journey battling health issues while continuing to follow his dreams. And lastly, on the Hair Kytchen, catch the last part of the chat with Maryland Congressional candidate Terry Action Jackson, where he shares his plan for the residents of District 5 and beyond. Thank you for tuning into this week's programming of Bowie TV's Youth, Community, and Lifestyle.
What fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey! Jingle bell!
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
That told me a lot. She said she met you.
Really waiting on you.
To be able to give back and share some love and some excitement and show the community what we represent and how much we care about them is really why it's so inspiring for us to come and be here and do for the children, especially at this hospital. They've gone through a lot, and so if we can make any one of you happy for an hour or two, it's a gift for us.
Being here at the hospital means a lot. I mean, we have a lot of people all across the world watch us play a child's game, and they find a lot of enjoyment in watching us play. But I think we find equal enjoyment coming in, hearing their stories, being able to, cheer them up and provide a smile, and just knowing that we see them, we're here for them. And some of us, some situations, understand what they're going through and just try to provide some motivation, because while we're out there playing and cheering us on, that's our motivation as well.
Can you see those lessons that, there were these smaller examples of buildings and things designed for communities like this? and they're special, they're individual instances, but can you see those things flowing into a more general uh, design understanding among architects and other designers and builders and community designers? You think the way curb cuts have become almost a normal thing and ramps are just built in?
I mean, I think we're not anywhere close to that yet, but I do think we're starting to see like a number of public amenities and spaces are adding like sort of not escape rooms, but like places where
Yeah.
people who are overwhelmed can
go.
calm down. You know, seeing them in museums and sports stadiums and zoos. And you're also seeing like movie theaters have like low sensory stimulation screenings where like they turn the sound down a bit. So I think we are starting to see some of that. You know, I wouldn't call it widespread yet, but I think it will become more common.
Maybe the
Hopefully.
big Oprah question is, did writing this book make you feel more optimistic that human culture is making progress of some sort?
Ooh, that's a big one.
Yeah.
It's hard to separate that from everything else that's going on in the world right now.
Right.
I mean, I do think that we have reason to be optimistic about our ability to change our environments for the good. You know, the question is, do we have the political and social will?
That financial and
Right. But like the technical capability is there
right.
if
So
we want to take it.
So I assume at this point, a lot of people are saying, what an interesting book at this time when we're all stuck inside. So maybe if you can sort of, if you want, highlight some of the things that keep coming up again and again, that now that you've written this book and now that we're inside, or maybe now we have to change our workspace so people come every other day or schools every other day. Have these ideas been floating around your head? Consideration now that you're so well informed about living in working spaces?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot still to be learned. I mean, everything that's happening now is pretty unprecedented.
Right.
But there are some like pretty clear lessons. If people have been reading a lot about this, I don't know that I have anything like earth-shattering to share, but you know, things like ventilation and how important ventilation is. And interestingly, that's true even in non-COVID times as well. Like, I don't think there was, you know, one of the things that's happened, not just in hospitals, but like in commercial buildings and office buildings over the 20th century is our buildings got really sealed up. And it was for a good reason in theory, you know, for energy efficiency. But as a result, often we just recirculate the same indoor air. And not only is that not great from an infectious disease perspective, but that's not great from a perspective of indoor air pollution, which scientists are learning is a major source of our exposure to air pollutants happens in buildings. And so I think there was already slowly a dawning realization that we needed to figure out a way to get more fresh air into our buildings from a pollutant perspective. And COVID just really highlights that and makes it more urgent. You know, even things like a lot of office buildings don't even have operable windows anymore. You know, like something as simple as making sure that windows can be opened.
Open a window, yeah.
It's really important.
Still newer office buildings, though, sometimes do now.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's been that realization that was something that went too far. At the very, very end of the book, and before you got to space environments, but you were talking about building for older people, and I have to be careful because I'm an elderly person now. Building for older people, and the idea, looking at all these people who are excited to be looking at ideas of what smart sensors can do, and can, looking in the mirror, which can read, I don't know, the color of your teeth, tell that you're about to have a stroke, and various really pretty amazing things. And the question always then is, just because we can do it, should we be doing it? And so I want to reflect on your quotation from nearly page 200, where you said, I also wonder about the social consequences of outsourcing more and more tasks to ever smarter machines. And that's sort of a big concern of the century, isn't it?
Yeah. And I hadn't thought about it till right now, but that sort of piece echoes, I think, my big takeaway from Frankenstein's Cat, which for people who don't know was all about animal biotechnology.
Yeah.
And the argument I made there, and that I would make in this case of, so I'm focusing on like smart home technology that can monitor our health, is that the technology itself is sort of value neutral, and that there are ways we can use it for good, and there are ways we can use it for ill. And, we have the power to make those decisions. And so like, I don't think it's necessarily bad that we now have, software that can detect when an elderly person falls in their home. But if we use that to replace like visits from their children or from caregivers, or to say, oh, they don't need an in-home health aide because they have fall detection software.
Yes.
That is not what I would want to happen. So this technology is great, but then comes the hard part of thinking through, like, how do we use it in a humane way and in a way that's helping and not hurting?
Yeah.
Right. And then the whole hacker issue, et cetera.
Right.
Yeah.
Even before you get to that, yeah. But
yeah, and I even think of like the workplace monitoring and how that, employers could know a little too much about you. And use that against you.
Right. And that's something that I think a lot of people are thinking about right now as workplaces reopen. Like people are talking about temperature checks, and some companies are even going as far as to monitor workers' movements in theory for a good, so they can, if someone tests positive, they can say, oh, you had contact with these other employees. But like, it doesn't take a lot of imagination to think about how that could go really wrong really fast.
Experience says that once we have data in order to look at good things, other people will surely find ways to exploit it for reasons that were not originally intended and may not necessarily be beneficial.
Well, and that's the other thing that's interesting is that, knock on wood, the pandemic will eventually go away. But like, if we open ourselves up to and allow all this, if we allow our workplace to have all this access to health information about us in this highly unusual situation, will that just become the norm? Like, how easy will it be to pull back when this threat is gone? I'm not sure it will be that easy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Employers may resist, right? They go, oh, it could be really beneficial.
And also if employees might not complain that much if they've gotten used to it. They sort of signed their consent away when it seemed important, and now it's just, part of the background.
Oh, yikes. Yeah.
Well, that's happy.
Yeah.
Well, actually, there was the most surprising thing in the book to me I didn't know about was amphibian housing. And we're not talking about a house that keeps frogs and salamanders. We're talking about a house that can withstand flooding in this time of climate change. I was like, why haven't I heard of this before? So it's really, really interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting ideas out there about sort of disaster-proof homes. And a lot of them are still pretty niche, and I'm not convinced that a lot of them are ever going to become widespread, but it is, I think, something that designers are thinking more and more about, is like the future is going to be pretty turbulent, and how can we create sort of resilience? Used to hear a lot about sustainability, and you still do, but now the idea of sort of resilience has almost replaced that.
And a lot of these ideas get developed as responses, and most of them aren't going to be practical. Everybody's not going to be building a geodesic dome, and yet things that we learn from the fact that those have been invented, they feed into the idea stream and get digested and taken up, and they contribute to the direction that things flow in the future.
Yeah.
Really. I don't know. Do you have something optimistic that you want to leave us with as we?
Well, I mean, I guess this is sort of where I leave the book too, but I think the optimistic part is that we now have a lot of data. There's still a lot to learn, but we know a lot about what makes good humane environments. And so, like, we will continue to build houses and offices and schools and all sorts of buildings. And we now have the knowledge to create much more humane buildings, healthier buildings. We know enough that we can do that now. And again, it's, and actually a lot of designers and architects are interested in those ideas. Like I talked to firms that like run the well-building certification program, and like there's a huge interest and appetite in that from the public and from designers themselves. And so the question is always, and I have some examples in the book of like things don't always work out as you plan, but there are a lot of people who want to start doing things differently.
And all of those people who do this.
Oh, as promised.
Oh, yes. Yeah. We almost made it without a siren, but not quite.
That's good. But all those people do read things and they're interested in these ideas and they hear them, and it does influence their work.
Mm-hmm.
So I think seep in.
And you're seeing just, growing organizations like Designers for Justice and Architects for Justice and Social Responsibility. And like, I think a lot of designers are now at least interested in exploring and thinking through, and I don't mean to suggest this is new, there have always been designers, but like, I think a growing interest in thinking through like the social, economic ramifications of what we build.
Right. New influences.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm curious. It took a long time between one book and the next because you did a lot of research. Do you have an idea for another book?
I do.
It's a secret.
It's not secret. I don't know. I have one leading contender. I'm not sure I'm going to pursue it yet. I guess what I will say is it would take me back into the animal world a bit, which is the territory of my first book.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's sort of the leading contender right now, but I'm going to go back to like freelancing shorter pieces for a while, just as a break and sort of think things through. But I am hoping to do
maybe
another book.
Traveling now is
yeah
lower on the scale of
Yeah,
things we should be
it's
doing.
true.
So.
So, but hopefully I'll be back here in another 6 or 7 years to talk about the
Well,
next one.
Well, we'll keep reading books. So
Yeah, hopefully faster than 6 or 7 years, but we'll see.
Well, these are interesting times. So who knows?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask Joanne's usual question at the end. It's like, is there anything that we forgot to ask or something you wanted to say here?
You're asking me?
Yes.
No, I mean, I think we did a pretty good survey of a lot of stuff, so nothing comes to mind.
Right. Yeah, I enjoyed this book. I felt like it was informative. It was fun. It was, I think data-driven, nothing too heavy. The book I read before this was The New Jim Crow. So when you spoke about the prisons, I felt like I had a good connection.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for having me. It was great.
We're so glad you came. And everybody, thank you for joining us as we spoke to Emily about her newest book. I'll hold the cover up again, The Great Indoors, about the built environment and how it affects our health. So, Emily, thank you so much. I hope you're staying safe and healthy. And
all of the experiences and jewels that I've learned, and just try to help them, achieve their little dreams as well.
And so you've been in the industry over 15 years.
Yeah.
Like, at what point did you feel like, okay, or do you even feel like that, like, not necessarily I've made it, or do you feel like you've made it, or like, there's some motion happening here, some good stuff?
I mean, it's motion. It's good things happening, but I don't know if I'll ever get to a point where I'll say I made it, because you're only as relevant or as good as your last thing that you did, you know? And so as an artist and as a student, you're always going to be striving to get to another level. You're always going to learn new things about yourself, about your artistry, about the industry. So you got to remain in a mode of being a learned person.
Yeah.
So that kind of keeps me curious. So as far as making it, I won't say I made it until I can get my wife off her job. I'll say that.
Amen.
Until I'm able to say, babe, if you want to work, cool, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like I've accomplished something in my life, where I can give my family the next level of living.
And all of it coming from the
All
artist.
is coming from the artistry.
I
I don't
know
have no
that's
plan
right.
B. This is it.
I love it.
Yeah.
The grind.
The grind.
Yes. And so with that, you know, I know in 2015, there was a shift for you because you were
Yeah.
diagnosed with kidney failure.
Yeah.
And being in the music industry, you know, I'm sure that was tough. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, man. Like I was on dialysis for like 6 years.
Wow.
I was diagnosed with chronic kidney disease in 2013. And then around 2015, I started my first dialysis treatment. And my typical like weekly routine would be go to dialysis like 5 a.m. and then get on the road after dialysis and drive like 2-3 hours to Lynchburg, anywhere that we're performing, North Carolina, because I was in a go-go band at the time. So I would drive to Lynchburg, I would drive to North Carolina, I would drive to Richmond, I would drive to wherever we're performing, and I would perform and then go back to the hotel and wake up at like 6 a.m. to drive to church.
Wow.
And do praise and worship there. During the whole dialysis thing, and there would be times I would be tired, I'd be weak, I would be exhausted, but I always had that extra drive to do what I love. So it taught me a lot of resilience, determination, strength. Like I was still building up my vocal muscle because I lost it for a little while. And once I was able to get my transplant in 2022, man, I was off to the races. Once the doctor cleared me, it was like, oh yeah, you can go outside now. I've been outside ever since. And I built my strength back up, built my vocal back up. And now it's just about being an example of what a miracle looks like.
And I was just going to say that ain't nothing but God.
Yeah.
Because when I tell you, I know people that are currently going through dialysis.
Yeah.
And I just can't imagine from what I see that they experience.
Yeah.
Them leaving a dialysis center to jump on the road to go do a performance.
Yeah.
Because the way that they be worn out,
yes,
that ain't nothing but God.
It would be days where I would be in so much pain or I would be so tired that I would lay in my bed and be like, God, if you wanna do it now, we can it's all right.
Yeah.
But I had the motivation to live for my girls, for my wife, and just they gave me the motivation to keep going.
Yeah.
And man, I'm here now, healthy, and trying to kill every stage I step on. Yeah.
And so did you ever fear that you wouldn't return? You were saying that you were asking God, listen, if this is it, just take me now. Did you ever fear that?
I did for a long time. I mean, 6 years, you go through the ups and downs of mortality. You know what I'm saying? I had to come face to face with that because it was several times I could have been out of here.
Yeah.
And when I got my transplant, I felt like God gave me a second chance to go for it. And I've been going for it. Like I'm not dropping no opportunity for me to get to the next thing, and maybe it's an operation of like, it could be either fear or determination, but either way, I'm going.
Yeah, I know that's right. One foot in front of the next.
Yeah, absolutely.
You trusted God with your life when your body was failing
Was
you,
failing me.
and now look at you.
Yeah.
You know, and so in that regard, let's talk about the new EP.
Okay, yeah,
Yes,
man.
yes. Songs About Her.
Yeah.
And I've listened to it several times over the last few days. And, you know, I sent you my comments about Safe Space. Guys, when I tell you, there was something about that song. I don't know the technical words, but there's like a shift in something in what I hear.
Wow.
And I'm like, whatever I'm hearing is like really grabbing me right now. So talk to us about Songs About Her and this new EP.
Oh man, Songs About Her is coming out January 9th. It's basically just an ode to women. Like I love women, man. Like I was raised by majority women. I mean, shout out to my uncles, you know, rest in peace to Uncle Ernest, Uncle Dickie, and all the men in my life, but it was a woman that kind of raised me to be the man that I am today. And my aunties, my mom, my grandmother, the women I've dated, the woman I'm currently married to, the women that, you know, that are just in my life that I've had experiences with. So Songs About Her is a 5-song EP, and every song is a different her that I've experienced in my life. You know? Some allegory, because you know, gotta keep it clean. You know, some stories are mine, and some stories are, you know, people that I've dealt with and, you know, told me stories.
Yeah.
Wrote about them. So it's just a collection of personalities and experiences with women that I've encountered.
You know, I love that it's such a positive, it's positive about relationships, because we're at a time now, especially when you're scrolling through and the things that are getting likes and that are getting engagement and getting shares.
Yeah.
It's always when we're at each other's necks.
Yeah. I hate it.
I hate it too.
It don't do us no good, because the reality is that, you know, I need you, you need me, we need each other. And, you know, it's I don't want to call it an agenda, but it's definitely a spirit around the division between Black men and Black women.
Yeah.
And I'm not championing that at all. Like, I come from the era where I heard Babyface sing about, I'll buy your clothes, I'll pay your rent, I'll cook your dinner too as soon as I get home from work. I come up under Gerald Levert where he's saying, baby, I'm ready to give you all my love. Sick and tired of playing games. So many loves I can't even name. Like, I come from that cloth, you know? And I believe that that's something that's missing in 2025, in 2026, where men are being vulnerable to women, telling them their honest, you know, feelings, and not being afraid of what the aftermath may be from it either. But I'm just being honest and showing you my heart. So, you know, with songs like Safe Space, us as men, we need to create safer spaces for women to feel like they can be women around us and not have to be objects of our affection. They're actually total human beings. They have a mind, they have a heart, and they have something to teach us, and vice versa, you know? So that's what Safe Space, that's the heart of Safe Space. I mean, it talks about some things going on, but that is at the acquiesce of the woman inviting me into her space.
Exactly. And that's exactly how I receive it.
Yeah.
It's you're creating this bubble where I'm allowing you, like, whatever it is that you're bringing into this space, and I'm going to follow.
Yeah.
And I want to support that energy.
Yeah.
And if it leads to that, it leads to that.
Yeah.
But I'm here for you, the woman,
Yeah.
the
Absolutely.
person.
Yeah.
So that's probably what I'm hearing. You know, I'm talking about the musicality, but all the lyrics, like everything tied in together. That was easily my favorite song on the EP. Yeah. And so 2 of those songs, as we mentioned earlier, are on The Love Doctor.
Yes.
And The Love Doctor premiered here in Prince George's County a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it's actually the directorial debut of T.C. Carson.
Yeah.
Yes. And so talk to us about that, about having those 2 songs featured on that soundtrack.
Man, I don't think those songs were not gonna be on the movie. So when we recorded them, we only had like, I want to say a week to get all of the music together.
Oh wow.
So when I heard the track kind of like dictated where I was going with this. And recorded it. And at first they were like, we don't know if we're gonna use it. But then like maybe a couple of days later, I get a call from Smiles. Shout out to Smiles, my dog. Like he's like my partner in all of this. Star Makers, Bob. Okay, all right. Let me get back to y'all. Let me get back to y'all. Smiles called and he's like, yo, like they like the songs and Superhero is gonna be the main song in the movie. I'm geeked up. I'm like, what? Get the joint. And we were at the movie premiere and I hear the song come on and I'm seeing people in the seats bopping. They nod their head, they bopping. I'm like, we might really got one here. So Superhero, Favorite Distraction is in the intro of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So man, I'm just blessed to be able to pin certain records that connect with everybody.
Yeah. And so tell us about Star Makers, because you're new to
that roster. Yeah. So shout out to Bob Terry. If you know Bob plays for Backyard Band. He's been with Backyard Band for about 25 years, right? Smooth cat on the guitar.
Yeah.
I met them back in 2013 when I was starting to work with the set. And I was able to, do a few things with them, but I would almost beg Bob, like, yo, man, you need to put me down with you need to put me down. He'd be like, all right, Steph, I got you. And it wasn't until 2024 when I got back into the rotation of working with them doing songwriting, actually. So I co-wrote some songs for another movie that they scored. It was called Sugar Baby.
Okay.
And it's on BET. So that was like my first movie placement. And fast forward, Bob was like, you know what, Steph? I know you've been asking for a long time to be down with us. I finally see the vision. I want you to be down with us. So that was a blessing to me. And just working with those guys, working with Kevin Rutledge. He produced Safe Space.
Yeah.
Smiles produced the majority of the EP. And man, just working with those guys, man, is your dream come true. Yeah, for real.
And I love that you're talking about how you were going after. You weren't waiting for somebody to be like, okay, now we want you. You're like, put me on.
Yeah. And during that time, I was able to do background vocals for Raheem Devon at the time. I was still able to just get working with them, but I just kept pushing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, you're not just releasing music. We kind of touched on that earlier as well, about you creating experiences, curating moments for people to really enjoy music, enjoy the local art.
Yeah.
And so I believe it was like within the last 2 weeks, you released on social media your living room kickback listening session.
Yeah.
First and foremost, I was like, where was my invite? Where was my invite?
man.
But that was with DJ Two Tone Jones
Yes.
and Black Girl Blunts Art.
Yeah.
And now today we're here at Black Power and Bowie for the hang after church, and some of your friends are gonna pull up. I have no idea what's about to happen today. I'm just looking forward to the experience.
Yeah.
So tell us about that, how all of that comes together.
So the living room kickback session was done by my guy Omar. GN Films recorded it. Shout out to DJ Two-Tone Jones for helping me put that on. Shout out to Diana Mara helping me put that on. I wanted to create a different experience. So on YouTube, they have like these living room DJs.
Yes,
So you've seen that before, right?
I love them.
So
yes.
I wanted to take that concept but put it to my music.
Mm-hmm.
So all of the music that I've recorded with Star Makers, even music that I've done in the past, we all put that together and just made a 45-minute experience of just Sing Steph music, you know, from my mixtape to my first EP called The Love Transplant Volume 1. That's out as well. And we also started to premiere the music from songs about her.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll be dropping that soon. I'm dropping, clips, getting people excited to watch it. And man, I just wanted to create a kickback vibe. Those types of atmospheres are like monumental and they're magical because you just don't know who may show up. I've been at kickbacks where, it's a piano in the house. And we all it's 30 people. We gather around a piano and we singing.
Jam session. I love that. Yeah,
absolutely, man.
And let me tell you, when you hit that Wu-Tang Luther joint, I was like, man, where was my invite? Where was my invite?
So funny thing about it is that mixtape is still out.
I listened to it.
You did?
I sure did.
Wow.
I
okay.
sure
What
did.
you think of it? What you talking about?
I loved it. I like when things are mashed up like that. It's like so unexpected.
Yeah.
Listen, like I said, the past few days, I've had your music blasting at home, including that. Because I was like, he's been in the game over 15 years. Let me see what he's all about. Yeah.
So it's a beautiful thing to be able to take your creativity and your ideas and find people that's willing to come along with you and make those things materialize, man. So shout out to Judah on the beat. He's the one that really got me established in the music sphere with Love Transplant Volume 1. That was the first musical offering I did after I got my transcript. So henceforth, Love Transplant.
Wow. Yeah.
So out of that, you got 7 p.m. Do You Mind? We get the mixtape, the Luther Vandross. If you go to singsteph.bandcamp.com, you can go listen to that. You can download that. Yeah, man, I was just able to just get my ideas, out to the world.
And so, guys, I'm going to have everything linked so you can find Sing Steph. If you're not already following him, you can find all his socials. You'll find his music that is out currently that you can listen to. And so what would you tell up-and-coming creatives or even folks that have been in the game for a while, maybe a little discouraged, need to find some new encouragement? What would you say to them?
You always got to sing your why. You gotta, whatever your why is, that's got to be your motivating factor. My why is to establish community again with artists. Social media is cool, like the IG lives and all of those things, they're cool, but there's still a slight like separation because artists tend to live in their own bubble and live in their own world. I'm no different than nobody that gets up in the mornings and puts their pants on to go to work and sit in traffic and have to deal with annoying people at work.
Yes.
And got bills and got bill collectors calling their phone, got that 1877 number popping up out of nowhere, and you like ignore. I go through all of those things as well. So I'm no different than anybody. So that keeps me, you know, it keeps me human.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times artists they view themselves as other, and which is cool because we are other. But in order for us to maintain our otherness, we have to be human, and we have to interact, and we have to communicate, we have to relate, we have to live with, with humanity in order for us to understand humanity and write about.
Should there be a standard now? When you said that, you said they're back in their districts, they're not even holding town halls. Should there be a standard of how many town halls minimum that you should hold if you're an elected official, given we're paying you with our tax dollars? Because right now we don't have anything, I would assume.
2 points on that, right? Honestly, for those who live in close districts to DC, I feel like you should have a town hall every day. But when you go home and you see someone in the grocery store or you see them out and about,
you should be having a town hall.
Stop and ask your constituents, how's everything going for you? How you doing? That way you keep the pulse of your district. You know what's going on. You understand what people's struggles are. But at minimum, for people who have town halls, what's stopping you from having virtual town halls? And it doesn't have to be limited to an hour. You can have 2, 3, 4 hour sessions. You can have multiple sessions a day. You can have a morning session and an evening session. Hey, I want to hear from you. What's going on? And then when the House is out of session or the Senate's out of session, you go back to your districts. I think you should have at least one a month. You get paid.
Okay, that was what I was thinking. I was thinking at least once a month you should touch base with your people. Yeah, that's 12 a year. Yeah, that keeps you, like you said, the finger on the pulse.
Virtual with our technology that we have today, in virtual town halls, in-person town halls, you can fly home on a Friday, have a town hall on a Saturday, fly back on a Sunday. It's not that hard to have face-to-face time with your constituents. It's really not.
I totally agree.
You can't. You have to want to do it. You have to want to do it. You have to want to be seen. Sorry, I'm getting a little, I'm passionate about this stuff.
Yeah, passion. No, that's fine. That's fine. I agree. I was like, oh yeah, I don't know when I've heard from my elected official. And
if you live local, like Maryland, Virginia, up around here, you should be out all the time talking to people. On the weekend when there's a festival on town, go out there and meet with the people. Don't be scared. They tried to pass in this recent CR. They wanted to put some money in there to beef up their security. If they were actually doing their jobs, they wouldn't have to be worried about their security because people wouldn't be mad at them and wouldn't be upset because we have a function in Congress and they wouldn't have to be worried about spending millions of dollars to increase their security funding.
And the red state elected officials weren't even showing up. So the Democrats started going to the red states because they're like, hey, we'll listen to what you have to say because you're elected.
Bernie and AOC, I remember.
Yep.
I'm tired of it. I'm tired of status quo politics.
Yeah, a lot of us are. So legislatively, what 2 things do you want to achieve for the people of Maryland's 5th district?
So, like I said, there's a lot. And I kind of talked about that a little bit with the legislative, with the tax cut. That'd be one thing I want to fight for. But the second thing I'll cover is since District 5 in Maryland has a really robust federal population, federal workforce. Not only do we have multiple military bases, Andrews, Fort Meade, Pax, Indian Head, etc., right? We have 75,000 plus federal employees. And I was a federal employee up until about a month ago. I was working for the Department of Justice. And I was having my own issues there, as a disabled veteran. I had put in for a reasonable accommodation. I was wrongfully terminated for that. Then I got a lawyer. Then I got rehired. And then I tried to get my reasonable accommodation back. And they refused to give me a reasonable accommodation. So I ended up filing an EEOC complaint. And that kind of happened. Needless to say, I ended up getting some justice from that. But I resigned from the DOJ. And the very next day when I resigned, I went down to Annapolis and I filed with the Maryland Board of Elections to run for Congress. So that was one of the driving factors. There are many driving factors, but that was like the straw that broke the camel's back. So I went down and filed my paperwork to run because I haven't liked what's been going on in the federal government since January 20th with how federal employees are being scapegoated. And all of a sudden now we're the swamp, we're the waste, fraud, and abuse in government. I don't think so. Federal work employees are some of the hardest working people and most dedicated people that I've ever had the pleasure of working with outside of the military. And the support that they give, and the contractors as well, because there are thousands of contractors that support federal employees and the military that deserve just as much respect. So I would like to also see something that we do in these CRs to ensure that government contractors also are taken care of in some kind of way. We have to kind of see what that looks like. But I think we can find a way to make sure that everyone who gets paid by the federal government, as far as putting in the work, gets their paychecks. But back to my main point here, I believe that I didn't really like the attacks on the federal government. And I think that the whole DEI issue that they were trying to scapegoat on and say that it's unfair, and now that it's gone, then everything will be strictly based on merit. Everything was already based on merit. I fall into DEI, right? Because of my disability. I think what we've done as a Democratic Party overall is I think that we didn't break down DEI enough in layman's terms to actually say that it just means true equality for everyone. It means putting everybody on an even playing field, regardless if you have a disability or anything that's wrong, you're on an even playing field. Everything is merit-based in the federal government. If you go through a competitive process, there are certain hiring paths that you can take, where you may get looked at or given the opportunity to be looked at for certain positions. But everything in the federal government is already merit-based. So by taking away DEI, all they did was punish people who are just trying to still contribute to society. As a disabled veteran, I have various disabilities, some physical, others that, kind of, I'm still productive, but, I need a little assistance. And what DEI does is it just gives everybody, on a level playing field. And we need to make sure that we put that back into place, and we do it in a plain language style, make sure it's data driven and it's merit based, that requires agencies to actually, publish dashboards on, like, these are our metrics here. These are, the number of people who were hired based off this specific criteria here. And transparency is what we need. We need transparency. We have to show, what it really does and how it benefits. And it's not just for color, for people of color or for minorities. It's for everybody. There are people, of all different races who have disabilities or, that need special assistance. And all DEI does is just help them be able to get a platform to be able to apply for these opportunities. And I think we just need to do a better job of articulating that and showing what it is, because people get DEI and affirmative action confused, and they're totally two separate things. And so when I hear people on those talking points, I try to, let them know, the differences between what those are and how each one applies separately. So I think having a strong workforce, protections in there, helping federal employees, especially like myself with the reasonable accommodations, there's a lot of stereotypes out there about people with disabilities that need accommodations. They say that, we're lazy, we're trying to cheat the system, we don't want to really work, but that's not true. Reasonable accommodations are there so people who need assistance can get the assistance so they can be productive members of society and still contribute. That's as simple as that. But people put a negative connotation on it, and how negative connotations and stereotypes, they seem to just travel so fast and so misinformed.
Yeah. So I guess you said a lot, and I was having my thoughts. I wanted to go back to, and then I'm going to go forward. That would be 80% of the population. Well, not 80%, but that would be a large portion of the population on that middle class tax benefit. I'm going to share that with some people and let them know, if they don't see the show, what you're talking about, because like I had a senior say to me that, people love their pets, and they said that the person, and this is on the county level, so you're on the federal level, the next person that gets elected, they want them to allow tax breaks for seniors who have pet care. And I was like, because people put a lot of money into their pets, you get no write-offs for that. And it's almost like some people's pets are their children. They're like
Especially
a child,
seniors,
if you will,
seniors, yeah.
because it's their companion. Exactly. And I've had several people say, you know, the surgery for my cat was $1,500, or the visit to the vet was $800, and they're seniors. So I did agree with the people who were saying that. So I don't know about on the federal level, but that was on the local level. But I really like what you were talking about the tax breaks for the middle class, because they're like the forgotten population. You know, you're either rich or you're poor, and it's like we're trying to dismantle the middle class and give them nothing and make them part of a lower class, if you will, because there's not a lot of services out there for them.
And
So
PG County is a very affluent area, and then the other surrounding counties are just as good, if not better, in some areas. Like the median household income for this district is anywhere between 98,000 up to like 113,000, depending on where exactly you live in the district and what kind of job that you may have. So we're a very affluent district. Could you imagine if we had a true middle class tax cut, how much extra money that would put into people's paychecks annually to be able to, boost the economy here in District 5?
Yeah.
And that would do wonders for so many people.
Yeah, I totally agree. What's the first thing you want to accomplish for the people of Maryland's 5th District once you're elected?
So
if you can narrow it down to just the one thing you want to do. I know it's many.
This is going to tie back into my community engagement, right? So if I feel like I'm repeating myself over and over, I'm sorry. It's just all my stuff ties in, right?
No, yes, perfect.
I want to have, my ultimate goal is to have a office in every county. So people can actually go to without having to drive all through the district to go to one office. And we even have an office, I believe, in this district. It's not even in the district. It's like right on the border. It's like one of the courthouses outside of District 5. I want to have essentially satellite offices there. But what I want to do on day one, since it would be in my own congressional operating budget, is I want to start off with 2 fully staffed field offices. I think what would be good is to have one in PG County, given its location and everything, and the population center that's here. And then I would like to have one down south in like St. Mary's County. And they would be solely focused on constituent services. I would essentially want to have like a field team assigned there that would actually go out in the community and engage with the citizens on my behalf while I would be in DC. And then when I came in here, I would have an office to work out of, to be able to sit down with constituents, meet with them, discuss their needs, have like those mini town halls that I was talking about earlier, right? To facilitate that engagement. These offices will be dedicated to helping seniors, veterans, small business owners, and just any kind of constituents that come in with concerns. And my constituent field team, I want them to be proactive, not reactive. A lot of times, we sit by the phone in these congressional offices and they wait for constituents to call in and tell them, hey, I got this problem, I need some assistance. I want my teams to be out, set up booths and just be out in the community, engaging, tell us your concerns. How can we help? What do you need from us? We're here to listen, right? Because my campaign right now is all about listening. And, when people submit inquiries, I want them to be tracked, logged, and I want to kind of have a process where if my field team can't, fix the issue, then there should be a process in place where it escalates like up to my chief of staff, right? So it gets the attention that it deserves. And if my chief of staff can't handle it, then obviously, it would come to me and then I would engage at my level. Like I want to have those steps in place and those processes to where we actually have real, community-centric engagement on a ground level where people actually see us out and about. So I want to be very active in the community. And then if that goes good, then I would look to extending that reach into the other 3 counties. That way I have 5 counties and I have 5 offices that are out engaging with the community. And they'll see that their congressman is actually cares for them. He actually shows up, and in his absence, he has people there that are competent and can work on his behalf to help meet their needs.
Wow. And that's because of your military background that you're real comfortable being over here, over there, where other people may not even have that vision.
Multitasking, yes.
Correct.
Yeah. I want people in the
district
district to know. I want people to know in the district that they can reach out and text me or my office whenever they need to, without having to drive for 2 hours or come to DC to knock on my office door, and I may not be there. I want someone to always be available to them, and I want them to feel like that my presence is in the district. Because right now, a lot of people do not feel like their congressman is in the district, right? Because they don't see him and they probably rarely hear from him, right? Unless he sends out an email, a pitch, or something for donations. So I want to be out and about. I want to be engaged. And if I may, if I can put a plug in for you here. So I just launched this morning. I sent out a press release, and what it's called is Drive Through the Five. It's the Terry Jackson for Congress listening tour. And I'm going to be doing that. My first visit, I'm going to visit Calvert County on the 18th of August. And there'll be different dates and locations that are on that press release. So you'll be able to see I'm going to be in all the counties, Prince George's, down in St. Mary's, and Lexington Park, and Leonardtown. I'll be down there and other places. I'll be back up here in Prince George's County, Upper Marlboro, and Bowie. And then I'll be working to get some dates for Anne Arundel County and then Calvert. So back to Calvert. So I'm going to be going all around. I'm going to be out there. I'll be out there in the interim, handing out cards, talking to people in parking lots, just like I've been doing. But I'm actually having meet and greet sessions at those locations. That's what that, Drive Through the Five tour is all about. Getting out there and meeting people, letting people know I'm running for office, and trying to tell them, what I want to do for them and how I want to help them move Maryland's 5th District forward.
Okay. I was going to ask you, it's reminding me of when people took the train ride and they stopped at every stop along the train, and people knew they were coming and could come and talk to their elected officials because they would ride. So that Drive Through Five sounds interesting. I'd like to be at the one in Prince George's.
I'm definitely going to be out there.
So we definitely need to get that information so we can share it on the channel.
Okay. I'll definitely make sure. I'll send it to you directly after I finish.
Okay. And last but not least, Terry, what do you want voters to remember most about you after they watch this interview?
Oh, let's see. So much.
And it's all tying together. I'm enjoying it. So it's reiterated. So that's a positive.
I guess what I want people to remember about me is I'm not, like I said, I don't ever want to be called a politician. I want to be called a public servant. And I'm not polished. Like, I don't have rehearsed lines that sound perfect on camera or when somebody sticks a microphone in my face. What I say is raw, is truthful, maybe a little bit emotional, but it's real. That's me. That's who I am. And I want people to remember the authenticity in my voice. There's a lot of discontent about politicians. They believe they're all self-serving. No one really wants to look out for people, and everybody's, just doesn't care, and they just look out for their own self-interest. I mean, which is true when you look at things in kind of a big picture format. It does seem like that. But I want them to know that when I speak, it comes from experience. I've worn the uniform. I've served in government. I know what it feels like to struggle, right? I resigned from my job to do this. My wife has been furloughed for the last, 42 days and still having to work. She works out at NSA Annapolis, right? So I know what people are going through. I know the struggles of living paycheck to paycheck because I'm currently doing it right now. And we have to keep pushing forward, and I keep pushing forward, and I encourage other people to do so as well. I understand what everybody's going through, and even with that, I'm still able to